So we had this formula where we calculated bend allowance using circumference. And I showed you a new formula and explained how we got there. So I thought I'd put that in a permanent recording so you could see for yourself what we did in class. So we started with the formula, bend allowance is circumference divided by 360 times the bend angle. And we calculated circumference divided by 360 to find out how far 1 degree went around that circle. Then multiplied by the angle to find out how many that many degrees would cover. And thus calculated the bend allowance. Then I said, you know what, we can make this other formula. The circumference formula is pi times 2 times radius plus the thickness of the sheet. Fair enough. So I'm going to replace that here. I can then rewrite this as pi times 2 times r over 360 plus pi times t over 360. If you take pi times 2 divided by 360, you'll get 0.01745 times the radius. That's part of that new formula. Take pi divided by 360, you get 0.008727 t, which is not part of the new formula that I showed you. But it's related. How do we get from this to 0.0078, which is the number that we actually use in the formula? Well, here's how it goes. In the original formula, circumference over 360, we assumed that the bend allowance is being measured at exactly the center of the thickness of the sheet of metal. So 50% of the thickness. But I mentioned this new formula, which is more accurate, actually doesn't go all the way to 50%. It's measuring the bend allowance at 44.5% of the thickness. So just less than 50%. So to find out what percentage the change was, we take the 44.5% that we're using in the new formula, divided by the 50 using the old formula, you find that it's 0.89 or 89%. So we're working at 89% of the original thickness. So instead of 50%, we're at 44.5%. 44.5 is 89% of the original thickness, which means we've got to take that number that we calculated for 50%, multiply it by 89%, which gives us 0.0078, which is the number we use in the new formula. So, at 44.5% of the thickness being where we measure the bend allowance, our formula is 0.01745 times the bend radius plus 0.0078 times the thickness. Calculate each of those, add them together, multiply by the bend angle. Note, you could also reverse these two. If you'd rather, bend allowance is 0.0078 times the thickness plus 0.01745 times the bend radius. The order of those two doesn't matter because they're in brackets together. You got to calculate them both individually and then add them together. So whether I do this one first and that one second, or this one first and that one second, doesn't matter. Anyway, that's how we went from that formula to this formula.